After approximately an 11-month wait, we finally have our modern basketball submission back. As you can see from the title, we actually did pretty well with the grades, but also at the same time, getting this submission back reminded me of a valuable lesson that I'll never forget. But the best way for me to share that lesson with you guys, I think, is just to actually get into the reveal. So let's open up this package and see what we got. All right, so there it is, PSA package. This was actually a 45-day we sent back in beginning of September, end of August. Actually got it before the 20-day that we sent back at the exact same time. It's a mix of my cards and also my friend Scott's that are in here, but there's some pretty cool cards in there. Like I said, some stuff that I'm learning from at the same time, but I'm excited to get into it and see what grades we got here. First card, John Collins, impeccable on-card auto. PSA 9, a really nice looking card. I believe this one is actually numbered out of 99. So I just like the look out of it as we're building up. I always try to remind myself, you know, it's fun, it's a hobby at the end of the day. You gotta have fun with it. So JC is my PC, so to keep picking these up, kind of good timing as well with what the Hawks were doing, but this one I'm definitely not looking to sell. I just think it's cool. I'm gonna try to, you know, keep picking them up when I can. Next up, we have Tyler Hero Optic PSA 9. It's funny, back when we were sending these in, the grading cost was only $13. So even a card like this, it's only doing maybe $25 at this point, but the grading cost is so low that, you know, you're gonna at least break even with a 9. So it's nice to have these. Hopefully we can see Tyler Hero have a little bit of a bounce back year here coming up. Another Tyler Hero as well, doing only about $20, but once again, we're only in these for $20 exactly. So if modern basketball comes back, if there's any type of hero hype at the beginning of next season, you know, you'll never know what'll happen. But once again, with the way PSA grading costs are now, cheap $20 slabs, you have a little bit, you know, the downside is somewhat limited. We'll keep it moving. I won't talk it to death too much with the Tyler Heroes, but we have this Prism base right here, PSA 9. Once again, another cheap slab. And then we also have an Optic pink as well. I definitely, if you're sensing a trend, this is the downside. 11 months ago, Tyler Hero, all of these were doing numbers. These were almost like $75, maybe $80 cards. You wait 11 months, the whole landscape can change. And that's something I warn people about. Even if PSA does bring back that bulk, it's gonna be a similar thing. It's gonna be 11 months. So even if I believed a lot in Tyler Hero, and I feel like I was kind of proven right, but some of the cards we sent, by the time it got back, it's just the landscape completely changed. So once again, you know, it's limited downside, but with these, we'll just hold on to them and see what happens. Boom, finally we got a 10, Zion My House Purple. I remember I found this one. It was like a weird listing, like he didn't even mention that there was just a picture attached to this and it wasn't even in the description. It was in a Zion Optic lot. So I'm only into this card $30 and it just sold recently for $180 actually. So this is one of it only takes one a lot of times, which once again, how cheap this submission is, only $13 a card. So this one definitely helps out maybe with some of the heroes that weren't quite what we were looking for in terms of value, but I think these My Houses are great. I know a lot of people like collecting these. I do think it's a nice looking insert and you can never complain when you get a Zion 10. Next up, this is actually the only soccer card in the sub. I feel like maybe sometimes you're even tired of how much soccer I have on the channel because it's a lot of what I do, but in this sub, it was actually only one soccer card. Frankie Deyoung, it has the RC logo on there. I know that's really controversial. Him coming from Ajax, it's a little weird for him to be a rookie in a Barcelona jersey, but that's a whole nother video. I think this is cool. This is the Red Contenders T-Mall version. I'm into this card. I think it's around $50 and even the non-T-Mall versions are doing $70. That's just Nate Soccer being low pop count. That's what happens, but you know, I think it's cool. I like the Barcelona red, how it matches. I have a Fati like this out somewhere as well, but you know, had to at least get one soccer card in the submission. Boom, we have another 10, RJ Barrett Prism 10. This one's still doing solid numbers actually. I think people still, as much as we've talked about the downfall of Prism, and it definitely has happened, people still love their Prism PSA 10s. This one's doing, I believe, around $80 right now. RJ Barrett, I was actually impressed with what I saw this year. The Knicks made a little bit of a run. I think he's a guy there should be a little bit of hype going into next season. I'm not necessarily advocating going out and buying him, but I don't think holding RJ Barrett stuff right now, especially with how far prices have come down, is necessarily the worst thing in the world. And I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times, you can never complain about 10s. Trae Young, another timely one. It's only fitting he was in the submission with the JC there as well. But PSA 8, this was another one. It was kind of like a throw-in card. $10, get it graded for $13. Only into it $23. So this is what, only a $25 card, but there's a lot of people out there who will just want a Trae Young rookie card slabbed up and protected, and this is exactly what I have here. Next up, Zion. Boom. This, we actually did well. I mean, you saw the title of it. It just speaks to how, honestly, kind of like inconsistent PSA is. I'm not an expert grader by any means, but it seems like sometimes you get a friendly grader and sometimes you get a little bit of a harsher grader. And we got a lot of 10s on this submission after I've just been killed on stuff from the same era, same type of deal, same looked over, and I just didn't do well. So to get a 10, I actually talked about this card a lot in videos. I always felt like these Optic bases were actually not an easy grade, but the centering is very simple there. It's just a square, so if you're able to kind of pour over these on eBay, that's what I did, and picked up a 10. And what's better than 1 10? 2 10s. I think if I was going to give one tip to anyone, be familiar with certain brands. If you're grading, I feel very confident in my grading of Optic cards because I can see that centering very easily. They come out of the packs in general, like it's not usually too much damage. They come out in pretty good shape. So if you check the corners, you check the centering, you're usually giving yourself a pretty good chance. And it's worked for me so far with 2 10s in a row. And boom, we have another 10. But the funny thing about these, and I kind of hinted at it earlier, the lesson I learned, I talked about these in videos. I laid out my plan. I said, hey guys, after the bubble last year, Zion cards went down a good amount. And I said, it doesn't matter what you think. If he's risky, you don't think he's going to be good, you think he's going to be good regardless, I was like, there will be a ton of hype for him at the beginning of next season, and his card prices will go up. And I actually ended up being right. The problem is I went the raw card route, and I'd been submitting with PSA, and in general, a 20-day. Their submission time was around like 3, maybe 4 months, you'll get them back. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'll have these back at the beginning of the next NBA season, and I can sell them for a really nice profit. And they were up over $300 for these right here, these PSA 10s. The only problem was I didn't have the cards. It took 11 months for these to come back. And that's the struggle. That's something I always say. The best plans, all strategies, all this stuff we say, riding the waves, it's all great when it works, but things are constantly changing in the card hobby. So I won't talk too bad about PSA. I'm happy about this submission, but a lot of what it's kind of taught me is if you have a feeling, just be careful with the raw kind of grading game because you never know what the timing may be. And boom, PSA 9, not a 10. I sent 4 of them in, 3 for 4 with 10s. Can't complain at all. This one, my average cost on these was around $80, including grading fee. So this one I'll actually probably end up losing money on, but I think it's balanced out by those other 3 10s. Jonathan Isaac, Green Prism. Kind of an interesting one here. I was surprised. Jonathan Isaac cards are still doing pretty well. PSA 9s are running you like $25, at least $15, maybe $20. That just speaks to, once again, that kind of floor because of what PSA graded cards cost now. I think he's a very talented player. Unfortunately, he got injured, but we'll see if he comes back. I think he does have some tools to be a very, very, very good, at the very least, defensive player. And if he develops that offensive side, you never know what can happen. Guys like these, super risky. Their cards could go to 0 very easily, but we'll see what happens with this one. RJ Barrett Optic, you can maybe sense in a trend. I'm a big fan of Optic, especially during this time. PSA 9, for these ones, these are a tough grade as well. They have print lines, so a 9 is not a given. This one, once again, is doing maybe like $40, so we have some RJ going into this next season. We'll see how he does. Canada, unfortunately, didn't make the Olympics. I was hoping he maybe could be a part of that and get some shine there, but once again, I think the Knicks, this sounds kind of dumb saying, but I think the Knicks are maybe turning it around now. All right, guys, so that was it for the submission. Very basketball focused, a lot of modern young guys, definitely prospecting heavy, but hopefully there were some cool takeaways for you guys. We're going to keep more submissions coming, so make sure to subscribe, stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.